everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm very excited to show you something I've been waiting for and I wanted to buy, although I'm not sure if I'm keeping it. So let's have a look at the new MacBook Pro. So here is the beauty, or should I say here is the ugly one. I don't know. I feel like this is the ugliest MacBook I've seen for a very, very long time. I'm not sure of which one this reminds me, but it used to be this bulky before. And I'm not sure if I'm happy that they came back to this design. But first, let me tell you a few first impressions about this. So, of course, the first thing you notice is the design, so I'm gonna talk about the design first. So, of course, when you look at it, it is thick. It looks like a brick, and the first day I got it, I took it to school for some of my colleagues to check out and say some of their first impressions, and almost all of them said that it simply looks like a brick. Some of them did not care, but nevertheless, it's how it is. So I have my my 2020 M1 version here beside me, and this is the 2020, this is the 2021. So if you compare them to each other, what you can see, I'm trying to hold it somehow, I don't know, it's heavy. Okay, so here are the two machines, and the first thing you notice is that this one was a little bit sharper, like it had sharper edges, and this one is like rounded. I feel like this one looks older just because these sharper edges here look simply a little bit more elegant to me, and also it's like it's done like the airs, like it's not like cut and it goes straight, but it is like rounded on the bottom, so when you look at the device it simply looks thinner, whereas when you look at this one it's just bulky. I'm not saying it's any thicker actually, because the thickness is really comparable, but just as how you look at the both notebooks, you see that another thing is that this old one is also rounded like on the top, whereas this one is like straight flat. It's just flat. It's just a flat brick. So I still think that this is the most beautiful design they've done so far. And I don't know why we're getting back to this one, if it has something to do with the processor or with the ports. No idea. But anyway, I'm not saying that this is ugly, as if you would take any other notebook and compare it with the Mac, you would still say the Mac looks pretty. I wouldn't say that it's the prettiest, but it still looks very good and you don't get an impression of this is an old device or whatever. But my first impression was like, oh, this looks like a fake MacBook. So enough of that. Another thing is the logo got huge. So I'm just asking, why isn't there a light? Why doesn't it glow anymore? Like, why doesn't the Apple logo light up anymore if we're getting back to these things? So we open it up. I have this cloth here, so the keyboard does not get printed on the display. And let's have a look. And here is the beauty. So this is the 14-inch version, and I can tell you that this makes a huge difference between the old model, because the display is now higher because of the notch, so you can see more content. And what I'm saying is I don't mind the notch at all, because anyway, when you're opening any application, there are the options here, so it does not bother you at all because you see more content on the screen, and it's anyway the same height of the option menu. So you don't care whatsoever anyway. If you have a black option menu, then you don't see the notch at all. But what is interesting is that when you hover like over the notch, your cursor just disappears. So that's kind of weird, and maybe they could have done it like so that the cursor goes actually around the notch, but so now it just gets lost there, but whatever. Now the touch bar is gone, and I'm so sad about this because I love the touch bar, especially as a developer, because you could have various compile buttons there, and also when I was writing something in English, I was predicting words, so I was just tapping the words like here and there and this and smileys and whatever. So I was the one who was really like using it, even for video editing or for photo editing. It was very useful. So I'm kind of sad that the touch bar is gone, because I feel like we are going back in time again, and it just looks so modern with the touch bar. I know that this is like a minimalistic design, but it just looks like a box with a nice display and a great keyboard and a great touchpad. But the touch bar, the thing which like made it so kind of expensive looking, was the touch bar to me. Okay, let's get to the keyboard. So it's still a full aluminium body, but they've painted the piece like under the keys, so it's black now. And I feel like it looks much better, much more elegant. So this is a nice step forward, I think. Let's get to the ports, because in the old MacBook Pro you had just two USB-Cs. I don't know why I thought there were three. So you got two USB-Cs and a headphone jack. So you always had to carry around a hub with your HDMI port, with your ports for your SD cards and USBs, which is now not the case anymore, because you are getting an HDMI port, a Thunderbolt port, an SD card slot, the MagSafe, two other Thunderbolts, and a headphone jack. So you have all the ports you need for like content creation already in this PC, so you don't have to carry a hub anymore. But I of course have to, because when I'm working with an external monitor, I need to use my keyboard and mouse, so I still have to carry a hub with USB ports. Yeah, that's a nice step back, I think, even though I got used to the hubs, but at least it's all in the PC and you don't have to worry about the transfer speeds and so on. So now let's talk about my configuration. So I got the same configuration as I got in the 2020 version. So I got 16 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. So I got the same configuration in this one, whereas this one is kind of the cheapest, because it does not start at 8 gigabytes of RAM anymore, but it starts exactly at 16 gigabytes, and it does not start at 256 gigabytes of storage, but it starts with this 512 gigabyte version. I was not sure whether I'm getting this one because of the price, primarily because I bought this one for 1,900 euros, whereas this was starting at 2,300, which was a 400 euro difference, and I felt like, wow, that's just too much. But I managed to buy this one 200 euros cheaper, so I'm still, of course, thinking about keeping this one because I just love the display. I went to work and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this one to work instead of the old one and see how I feel about it. And as I'm pursuing my PhD, I have to read a lot of articles and a lot of studies, and this was just so much better to read on as the display is higher. It was just much more comfortable and it felt better. Although when you scroll up and down, the black text actually becomes green, which is kind of weird and kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But I hope that this is just a software problem and that they're gonna fix it soon. And what is incredible is that we finally have a full HD camera. I was like, how is it even possible that you come out with a laptop in 2020 without a full HD camera? I was having online meetings and it just looked like shit. So I am very happy that we are finally at full HD. Another thing which is different between these two is the battery life. I have not tried it out myself, but it is said that this new one should last 3 hours less than this old one. So the battery life should be at 17 hours, whereas it was at 20 hours before. So now it's time to talk about the display. So the display is made of mini LEDs. What this means is that you get a perfect black as the LEDs turn off when there's a black background. So it still is not OLED, but I think that this is fair enough. So let's compare this. So as you can see, we get pure black screen on the new MacBook Pro 2021, whereas we get kind of grayish screen on the old MacBook Pro. And now I'm gonna run some performance tests, so enjoy the rest of the video and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye!